The sound of splintering wood is not exactly what you want to hear before breakfast, unless, of course, you enjoy starting your day with a little chaos. But that's what woke me up day after day before I even had a chance to taste my coffee. My ranch gate groaning and cracking as Karen's shiny white SUV barreled through like she was on some kind of royal tour. I mean, she didn't even slow down, not a wave, not a morning, just sunglasses, attitude, and a sense of entitlement so thick you could have paved the drive with it. The first time I thought, well, maybe she's lost. The second time, she's got to be kidding. By the third, it was clear she was daring me. And look, I've never been the kind of man who shies away from a dare, especially not when it's on my own land. But this was something else. Now, I come to this patch of Texas for some peace. 30 years in construction, breathing in drywall dust, building other folks' dreams, getting told by HOAs what color my mailbox could be and when to mow my grass. When I finally got this place, ranch land on the edge of Pine Hollow, outside the HOA, thank you very much, I want it quiet. I want to wake up to cattle grazing, sun spilling over the hills, maybe a gentle breeze. What I got was Karen. Let me paint you a picture. Karen, with that perfect helmet of blonde hair, oversized sunglasses, brand new SUV, and a bumper sticker that basically screamed HOA strong. She showed up, rolled her window down halfway, just enough to let her voice out, not a drop of warmth in her smile, and said, "Lovely place you got." Then she hit the gas, plowed straight through my closed gate like she was running late for a photo op. I stood there, holding my coffee, mouth hanging open. Gate hinges screaming, cedar scraping the gravel, dust billowing like she was launching a NASA rocket. And the kicker? As she disappeared into the distance, I swear, she gave me this little wave in the rearview mirror like thanks to the shortcut, peasant. So I fixed the gate, reinforced the hinges, reset the posts, told myself it was a one-off, bad GPS, bad manners, something. Prayed it wouldn't happen again. But it did. Next week, there she was again, nose of her SUV poking over the rise, barreling down like she owned the joint. She didn't slow down, didn't even look my way, just blasted through. I ran out onto the porch, waving my arms like a scarecrow, yelling, "Hey, private property." And she had the nerve to lean out the window, laughing and shout back, "Community easement," before she sped away. Community easement? My blood just about boiled. I know my deed backwards and forwards. There is no easement, no right-of-way, no shared road, nothing. But she said it like it was written in stone. That night, I went down to the feed store for some supplies, and the fellas there, they just shook their heads. "You got Karen driving through your land?" one asked. "Good luck with that," another said. "She runs the HOA like a little kingdom. Best let her be, son, where you'll spend your days fixing fences and your nights fighting fines. Let her be. Let her rip up my gate every week like she's the queen of Pine Hollow? Not a chance." The third time I was ready. I was stacking firewood by the barn, heard that telltale crunch of gravel, and there she was, SUV revving, sunglasses glinting. She looked right at me and said, "You really ought to keep this open. It saves me 10 minutes every morning. Community spirit, you know?" I actually laughed, couldn't help myself. Community spirit? "Lady, this is trespassing. You're damaging my property." She leaned in chin high. "You new here. Maybe you don't get it. The HOA sets the rules. You're not above them." That's when I realized this wasn't about a shortcut. This was about power. About her. About making me bend. But see, what Karen didn't know was that I wasn't just a guy who'd built gates. I'd built foundations, stood up against storms, survived 30 years of job site politics. If she wanted to fight, she'd found one. And boy, did she double down. Because the more I resisted, the more brazen she got. Afternoons, evenings, even the dead of night, I'd hear her engine growling through the pasture, see the dust trailing behind. It wasn't just her. Other HOA board members started joining in. I'd spot them in a little convoy, waving at each other as they cut through, like it was the Pine Hollow Grand Prix. One afternoon, I found a letter in my mailbox, official as anything, with the HOA letterhead and everything. "Dear resident," it read, "you are in violation of community standards. Please remove the unsightly gate at the entrance to your property or face fines." I almost choked. I wasn't even in the HOA. I drove straight down to the clerk's office to double-check. No easement, no right-of-way, no jurisdiction. But that letter wasn't a mistake. It was a warning shot. This was war now. Every splinter, every busted hinge. It wasn't just my gate. It was my pride, my peace, my right to exist without being trampled by some self-appointed neighborhood queen. The real twist? She started turning people against me. Next thing I know, I'm not just getting HOA letters. I'm getting visits. The wiry board member with the clipboard shows up. Sir, you can't keep rebuilding this gate. The board voted. Road stays open. I wiped sweat from my brow. Funny, I don't remember voting. Because I'm not in your HOA. Didn't matter. Failure to comply will result in further penalties. I laughed in his face, though it sounded a lot more tired than tough by then. But Karen? She wasn't done. One night, close to midnight, I was jolted awake by a sound that's already become my personal nightmare, with splintering, hinges snapping. I stormed out, flashlight in hand, only to see her tail lights disappearing into the dark. She didn't even try to explain herself anymore. Didn't care. That's when the rumors started swirling. She's got the sheriff on speed dial, the county clerk in her pocket. Nobody beats Karen. And you know what? Maybe they were right. The law wouldn't help. No cameras, no proof, and Karen spinning her story to anyone who'd listen. I thought about giving in, just patching the gate one last time and letting them have their shortcut. But every time I picked up a splinter, I got angrier. My property wasn't just lines on a deed. It was my sanctuary, my last stand. So I started thinking, if Karen wanted to play games, I could play too. Only, I'd play to win. I built the trap over a week, working in the dawn light, under the stars, sweat pouring, hands bleeding. Steel beams, 6 feet deep, sunk into concrete. Industrial stuff, nothing you find at Home Depot. I covered it with cedar planks, so from the road it looked just like the old gate. But inside, oh, it was all steel, reinforced, ready for anything short of a tank. And just beyond it, shallow trenches, camouflaged under gravel, filled with steel spikes. You want to blast through my gate now? You're going to pay for it, in rubber and pride. The night before, I sat on the porch with my dogs, lantern burning low. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Karen thought she was playing chess, but I was about to flip the whole board. Didn't take long. Saturday afternoon, the sun's high, and I hear that familiar rumble. Karen's SUV, leading her little convoy of HOA cronies, barreling down like the 4 horsemen of the suburban apocalypse. I sipped my coffee, settled in, waited. She never slowed down, didn't even blink. Smug, sunglasses, jaw set like she's about to win a medal. She floored it, aimed right for the gate. The bumper hit, this time nothing budged. Metal hit metal, a sound like a gunshot echoing off the hills. The front of her SUV crumpled like a soda can. Airbags exploded, white smoke everywhere. As her rear tires crossed the trench, pop, 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 steel spikes chewed them to pieces. The convoy behind her screeched to a halt. One minivan fishtailed into the ditch, sedan barely missed piling in. For a long second, nobody moved. Then Karen burst out of her car, face twisted with rage and embarrassment, yelling, "What have you done? This is illegal. You could have killed someone." I just stood there, arms crossed, dogs at my feet. Calm as could be. "What I've done is stop you from trespassing." My voice was steady. God knows my heart was racing. She tried to threaten me again, waving her arms, voice shrill. "The HOA will bury you in lawsuits." I pointed to the posts where the new security cameras blinked red. "Smile for the cameras, Karen. It's all on tape this time." Her face went pale. Neighbors started gathering, phones out, recording. Some laughed, some just stared, but nobody stepped in to help her. Not this time. When the sheriff showed up, she wailed about sabotage and danger, but all he did was ask, "Is this a public road?" "Nope," I said, handing over the deed. "Private property." He shook his head, looked at Karen, and said, "Ma'am, you might want to start respecting boundaries." Now, you'd think that'd be the end. Justice served, right? Karen exposed, her convoy humiliated, her SUV leaking all over my gravel. But no, Karen never admitted defeat. The very next morning, another thick envelope in my mailbox, this one a lawsuit. She wanted me to pay for her damages, for her emotional distress, for obstructing a community easement. She even wanted me to cover the repair bill for her SUV. I'll admit, I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. But deep down, I was boiling. How could she flip the story that far? How do you trespass, wreck someone else's property, and still try to play the victim? So I got a lawyer, a tough old gal named Martha who'd been fighting property battles longer than Karen's been bleaching her roots. Martha just grinned as she read the papers. Classic HOA power grab, she said, but they don't have a leg to stand on. Within a week, she filed a countersuit, trespassing, property damage, harassment. Thanks to those cameras, we had every minute on video. And the twist? Turned out, not only was my land outside the HOA, but that so-called community road Karen loved so much. Yeah, it wasn't public either. It was mine, deed and all. For all her speeches about community rights, she'd been trespassing on my road the whole time. The court day was glorious. Karen strutted in, red suit, whole board in tow, acting like she was running for governor. Her lawyer ranted about dangerous booby traps and threats to the community. Martha just smiled, played the footage, Karen ramming my gate, the convoy tearing through, me warning them over and over. Even the judge cracked a smile. Karen's meltdown on the stand, screaming about how he can't define me. I am the HOA. Sealed the deal. The judge dismissed all her claims, fined the HOA for trespassing and damages, and made the footage public record. Within days, that video was everywhere, memed to hell and back. You shall not pass. The once mighty Karen became a neighborhood punchline, her power broken, her cronies deserting her. I'll tell you, sitting on my porch that evening, sun setting behind the hills, coffee in hand and my dogs curled at my feet, I finally felt peace. Not just because I'd won, but because justice, real justice, had landed square and loud. Now, here's the thing. I learned something in all this. Sometimes, boundaries aren't just lines on a map or a gate at the end of a drive. They're the things you fight for, the places you stand your ground, even when everyone's telling you to let it go. There will always be Karens, people who push and prod, who think the rules don't apply to them, who try to bulldoze their way through your life. The trick is, you don't let them. You build your boundaries strong, you reinforce them, and when push comes to shove, you hold the line. Because respect isn't handed out, it's earned. And sometimes you've got to demand it. So, let me ask you this. What's the gate in your life you need to protect? Where's the line you won't let anyone cross, no matter how loud they honk or how many rules they make up? Drop your answer down below. Let's hear your stories. And hey, if you got a Karen in your life, you're not alone. Stick around. There's plenty more where this came from.